Hi everyone, my name is Jeremy Taylor, and this is my Bible study on Job. I'd really like to go through the book of Job with you all. I think Job has a lot of insight and understanding to offer us, especially as it relates to the subject of mental health, which, as I'm sure you all know, I care very deeply about. Um, and I really hope that you enjoy this study, and hopefully there'll be more to come in the future. So the first section covers the first 5 verses, and as you all may or may not be aware, in the videos I've done previously, I really try to keep the scriptures limited from video to video because it's easier to dissect that way, and certainly for Job, for this book, um, that's really the only suitable way to do it, or sensible way, I should say. Um, but the first 5 verses read as follows: In the land of Uz there lived a man whose name was Job. This man was blameless and upright. He feared God and shunned evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 donkeys, and had a large number of servants. He was the greatest man among all the people of the East. His sons used to hold feasts in their homes on their birthdays, and they would invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. When a period of feasting had run its course, Job would make arrangements for them to be purified. Early in the morning, he would sacrifice a burnt offering for each of them, thinking, "Perhaps my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." This was Job's regular custom. So there are 4 key points that I want to cover with this first passage here. And the first is that there is a parallel between Job's story and that of Adam and Eve, found in Genesis 3, and indeed the story of humanity as a whole. As I know you all can recall, the scene in Genesis 3 is really unique in the sense that it is perfect in every sense of the word, and the stage is set for Adam and Eve to rule the earth, to be stewards of everything that God had created for them. And they lacked nothing. They had everything that they needed, and theoretically also everything that they could have ever desired. And this is sort of what we see here. We see a man who has everything that a man during his time, and even in our modern context, could ever desire. He had wealth, which was manifested in his possessions, his livestock, in his the number of servants he had, and indeed his family also. The fact that he had such a large family was also indicative of his wealth, and I can only assume that in addition to all of that, he had plenty of land, an ample amount of land to house all of his possessions, and certainly enough room for his livestock, enough space for his servants to dwell with him and his family. He has everything he could have ever wanted. And then, without warning, everything changes. The difference here, obviously, is that Job did not do anything that caused his suffering to come about. Adam and Eve did. Now, Adam and Eve, had they been granted the kind of foresight that is inherent in God's nature, they probably would have thought twice before eating that fruit, before making that decision, because then they would have been aware of all of the negative repercussions that that decision would have created, and we don't see that same sort of cause and effect relationship here, but it is worth noting that the two scenarios, the two scenes are definitely similar, and I wanted to point that out. The second thing is that we have to be very careful to make sure that we're not putting Job on some sort of pedestal, because simplistically, when you're looking at the fact that he still is a human being, he's just like everyone else. He's in the same. He came in the same way that everyone else did. As a descendant of Adam and Eve, he was a sinful person, period. What the text is really trying to convey to us is the fact that, in spite of that reality, the fact that he was immortal, right? He was still able to maintain his reputation, not merely in the eyes of his peers, but in the eyes of God. And we are led to believe that he was highly regarded in the sight of God and in the sight of man. And so in that sense, he was effectively blameless, though he was also still sinful.